and I really kind of like it. So the last baby I did it all over the whole head, and this one I'm going to also. And the reason why I did it the color that I did it is because I wanted it to match the mohair that I'm going to be using. As you can see, these, well, actually this is alpaca. You can see that the color's just really, really on. I can't tell you what colors I mixed. I just kept adding. I knew it had yellow in it, had red in it, had brown in it, and I just keep on. And see, even layering on that extra red that we had put underneath looks like it's underneath hair and the vein too, because the strands go over it. Now I went ahead and put this in so that I could show you, then come back and add some darker color to that. I'm going to wipe off my brush with a wet paper towel that I was using for the nail beds because I don't want any red in there. And we're going to take flesh number 4, which is a brown. And I've got some flesh 7 and some flesh 8. I just kind of usually mix those in there together like that. And that way it just kind of depends on where my brush hits. I prefer the darker one on this right here. I may have to come back in with some lighter ones as well. And because hair is never all exactly the same color. I've already done the brown in there. So I'm just going to go through and add some more. We want them pretty thin. Actually, I think I'm going to use a different brush here. Where's my little brush that I seem to favor? Well, that little flat one that gives me both the flats and the strands if I want. I don't seem to see it. Oh, here it is. This one right here, where it's kind of flat if you do this, and then sharp on the point if you do the other way. And I'm going to take some of that brown, making sure to use just the tip. Get it wet. That paint right there was with Genesis Thinner. Show my fingertips. And I'm going to come through and just add some really small, darker pieces. Now when you do this, if you make all the hairs go all the same direction, then it looks like painted hair. But if you take some of them and kind of flip them and go this way and that, you never want them going sideways and stuff, but I mean just kind of, you know, because your hair follicles do kind of overlay each other. I mean, not your hair follicles, your hair, when you do that. And so you just come through and kind of do that. I could even add a little bit of thinner with some brown to get it a little easier to move, some regular thinner. But you just layer a couple of those in there with this, and we're going to do that all the way through it. So following the same line. Now when I root the hair over there, so I'm also going to go on the same line. And the last head, like I said, I had rooted it pretty thick and had hoped that some of these would show through, because to me I did such a better job on this one than I did on the first one I tried. But I'm not sure. It'll kind of go when I start. You don't want the hair too long, and you don't want little tiny things either, because that's not very realistic either. And I'm just gonna, I still want to leave the predominant color, the one that I had. That's why we're only putting some of these in just here and there, maybe crossing over like that. You want to make sure that you use the sharp side, because you don't want to end up with big wide hair. And when you're doing something like this, it's really hard to correct your mistake, because if you wipe it off while it's wet, then you're going to wipe off everything that you've put in around it. It's not easy to get. I have no problem just wiping my brush on the edge of the blanket where the head doesn't touch or anything, because it just gets baked onto it. Now when I put this in the oven, the pan that's under here, I always have the blanket hanging over the sides enough to actually go underneath it. And the reason why I do that is I never can find my pot holder. And so if I do that, then I always have something. I just reach in and grab it because the cloth doesn't get wet enough to hurt me, hot enough to hurt my hands. So anyway, we just continue doing that all the way around the head. If you see, I actually did myself a swirl. That's one of the first things I do. And